Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to look at what I believe to be one of the best Wildcat cartridges made. We're going to look at the 25-06 Ackley Improved. I'm going to talk a little bit about its history. I'm going to talk a lot about its ballistics, compare it to the 25-06 Remington and the 257 Weatherby. And is it the best Ackley Improved cartridge? Let's find out. To understand the history of the 25-06 AI, let's take a look at its parent case, the 25-06 Remington. Now, the 25-06 Remington was introduced by Remington in 1969, but for a long time, the 25-06 was a popular Wildcat cartridge, and the true creator was Adolf Niedner, who created it in 1920, right after World War I. All he did was took a 30-06 case, necked it down to 25 caliber, and this is what we see here. Now, before Remington made it a factory cartridge, P.O. Ackley in the late 50s started messing with a lot of the 30-06 cases, like the 280, the 25-06, even the 30-06. In the late 50s, P.O. Ackley created the 25-06 AI. And so what did he do? Well, he got rid of a lot of the taper, made a 40-degree shoulder, and boom, you've got a decent, more powerful version of a 25-06 Remington. What kind of velocities can you expect from a 25-06 AI? Let's look at it. Now let's look at the data. And unfortunately, with this being a Wildcat cartridge, it's really hard to find load data. So I'm kind of going off of forums, so take it with a very heavy grain of salt. This is just what people are reporting. So in a 100 grain class bullet, I'm seeing velocities that are low 3,500, maybe high 3,400. And so this is quick. And then we move down to, say, a 115 grain, and most of it you're seeing high 3,200, maybe 3,300 if you're really pushing it. Yeah, so with some Alliant reloader powder, you can get 3,300 feet per second with a 115 grain. That's quick. Really, really efficient for a 30-06 type case to get these velocities. From the little loading data that I could find with the 25-06 AI, I think it's safe to say that you could get 3,500 feet per second with a 100 class grain bullet, such as this 101 grain LRX. Let me show you just how close it is to 257 Weatherby factory ammo. So this is factory ammo. This is the 100 grain TTSX, and I just want to show you. Now this one is factory seconds, and it's a little watered down, so it's going 3,500. So the exact same as what you could probably get with a 25-06 AI. I did say this is a little watered down. Usually these bullets, when they're not seconds, are going almost 3,600 in the factory ammo. Using the 101 grain Barnes LRX bullet out of a 25-06 AI, BC .400, that's pretty good for a 100 grain bullet in a 25 caliber. Muzzle velocity of 3,500 feet per second. Your energy is almost 2,800 foot-pounds. So we're getting kind of close to 257 Weatherby performance in this 25-06 AI. Recoil, it's up there. You know, I'd say it's around 17 foot-pounds of recoil energy, but that's not too bad. Now, out to typical hunting distances, let's just go out to 400 yards. Bullets still going plenty fast to expand in a copper bullet. And then your energy, it's pretty good. 1,400 plus foot-pounds. And it's a flat shooter. Only 17.9 inches of drop. Okay. This is flatter than a 7mm mag, a 300 Win mag, a lot of cartridges. It's pretty darn flat. Now I want to compare the 25-06 AI to its competitors, the 25-06 Remington. And we're going to use hand-loaded data. So I think you could realistically expect with a 101 grain bullet in a 25-06 going 3,350 feet per second. That's pretty quick. Your energy, 2,500 foot-pounds. It's pretty good. Out at 400 yards, you're going to have 1,300 foot-pounds of energy and then only 20 inches of drop. 25-06 is a good performer, okay? Now, I already kind of showed you what the 25-06 AI will do. A 101 at 3,500 feet per second, almost 2,800 foot-pounds, over 1,400 foot-pounds of energy, so over 100 more foot-pounds of energy than the 25-06 Remington, and then at least 2 inches less of drop. Now, let's move up to the big guy, the 257 Weatherby. When you hand load this, you can get a decent amount out of it. I personally have gotten 3,650 feet per second. I know others that can push up to 3,700 and faster, but we'll just use 3,650, and your energy is almost 3,000 foot-pounds. At 400 yards, though, it's not a huge difference from the 25-06. We're looking at 150 more foot-pounds of energy at 400, and almost 2 inches of less drop. So there is an advantage for the 257, but if you want something a little different, that's basically a 257 Weatherby Light, 25-06 AI is your answer. I just want to talk about some pros and cons for the 25-06 AI. The first thing that comes to mind for me is that the 25-06 AI is definitely a Magnum type level performance in a non-Magnum cartridge. It's not belted, you're not burning a ton of powder like a 257 Weatherby, and you're getting almost the same performance. Next, I really truly believe this is probably one of the best Ackley Improved versions. So I do think you can get more out of it than, say, like a 280 AI compared to a 280 Remington. So you're going to get 100 to 150 feet per second, maybe even 200 feet per second faster than a 25-06 Remington. Another pro is, true, you don't have factory ammo for the 25-06 AI, but you can shoot 25-06 Remington ammo to fire form brass and to, well, put some rounds down your barrel. Lastly, the cool factor. This is just a really cool cartridge. Great conversation starter at your deer camp or elk camp. Let's get to the cons of the 25-06 AI. First, you can't get a factory rifle in 25-06 AI. I don't think you can. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So you're going to put down some decent moolah to get a rifle in 25-06 AI. Next is, I don't think you can actually get 25-06 AI brass. So you're going to have to find 25-06 Remington, which isn't too hard, and then you're going to have to fire form your brass. Next is have to hand load. Now, this is not a con for me, but I know most people don't hand load, so you can't just go to your local gun store and get 25-06 AI ammo, unfortunately. Lastly, for when you do reload, I don't think there's a lot of reliable load data. Yes, you can find it on forums, but it's not like Nosler, Hornady, Barnes, or other like Sierra are making reliable data for you to go off of. Overall, though, I really think the 25-06 AI is a really cool cartridge, and I completely understand why people get guns built in that cartridge.